Augusta Christine Fells was born in Green Cove Springs, Florida, near Jacksonville, on February 29, 1892. Augusta Fells began modeling figures from the red clay soil of her native Florida at an early age. When just 15 years old, she married John T. Moore in 1907 and had her only child, Irene, in 1908. After Moore died a few years later, Augusta moved to West Palm Beach, Florida in 1915. About that time, she married James Savage, but she divorced him in the early 1920s and kept his name. Once she discovered a good source of clay, Savage thrived artistically in West Palm Beach, receiving local encouragement and prizes. She moved to Jacksonville, Florida, hoping to make a living by executing commissioned busts of the city's well to do African Americans. When that plan failed, she left her daughter with her parents in Florida and moved to New York City to study art. In 1921, she enrolled at the Cooper Union in a 4-year sculpture course, but her instructors quickly waived many of those classes considering her talent. She graduated in 3 years. In 1923, Savage became the focus of a racial scandal involving the French government and the American art community. She was among some 100 young American women selected to attend the summer program at Fontainebleau outside of Paris, but her application was subsequently refused by the French because of her race. Savage was deeply upset and questioned the committee, beginning her first of many public fights for equal rights in her life. Savage obtained her first commission for the bust of W.E.B. Du Bois for the Harlem Library. Her outstanding sculpture brought more commissions, including one for a bust of Marcus Garvey. Her bust of William Pickens Sr., a key figure in the NAACP, earned praise for depicting an African American in a more humane, neutral way as opposed to stereotypes at the time. On the strength of these works, and especially the poignant Gammon, 1929, a portrait bust of a streetwise boy and one of Savage's few extant pieces, she received the Julius Rosenwald Fellowship that enabled her finally to study in Paris in 1929 to 1931. She toured France, Belgium, and Germany, researching sculpture in cathedrals and museums. The Great Depression brought art sales to a virtual standstill. However, and so when she returned to New York, she began to teach art, founding the Savage Studio of Arts and Crafts in Harlem in 1932. In 1934, Savage became the first African American elected to the National Association of Women Painters and Sculptors, now known as the National Association of Women Artists. In 1937, she became the first director of the Harlem Community Art Center, which was established under the Works Progress Administration Federal Art Project. The Art Center in Harlem played a critical role in the development of many young black artists. In the late 1930s, Savage was commissioned to create a sculpture for the 1939 New York World's Fair. The piece, The Harp, inspired by James Weldon Johnson's poem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, became one of her best known. Unfortunately, it and many of her works by Savage were never cast in durable materials and were later lost or destroyed. Savage opened a gallery specializing in art by African Americans, but it did not survive for long. Her style can be described as realistic, expressive, and sensitive. Though her art and influence within the art community are documented, the location of much of her work is unknown. She retired from art in the 1940s, moving to a farm in New York. Savage died of cancer on March 26, 1962, in New York City.